Okay, it is 7:30 on Tuesday, September 14th. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the city of Twinsburg to order. Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Subcommittee?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Labby?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
I'm here.
Okay, next up, we all rise. We're going to have the invocation and the pledge. That'll be led by Mr. Bellin.
We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us this evening. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we give our best always. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next, the approval of the minutes. I know Shannon set those out just recently. Everybody, I assume, had a chance to look those over. Anybody have any questions or changes?
None.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Mr. Fury, second.
I second.
Mrs. Walker, any questions? Okay, Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes, minutes approved are passed 7-0. Any awards and presentations? We do. Mayor Yates will now bestow the oath of office to our new chief, Chief Tom Mason.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. We've got Tom Mason is going to be sworn in as our new chief. If you'd like to come on up. It's an exciting time for Twinsburg, exciting time for the department. Tom spent 27 years working in Twinsburg here, and over the last couple of years, he's had limited administrative help along with the chief, and has really been kind of thrown to the wolves and has really stepped up for the department. And I know that's just really tremendously prepared him for this role that he's about to take. So I know we're really excited to have him, and I think he's excited for this opportunity. I know he's going to share a few words after we swear him in, but I don't know if you want to bring up your family. Want to introduce who we have here?
My wife Tracy and my twins Jessica and Tyler.
All right, you face me and raise your right hand. I, Thomas Mason,
I, Thomas Mason,
do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
the Charter,
the Charter,
ordinances,
ordinances,
and resolutions
and resolutions
of the City of Twinsburg,
of the
Ohio,
City of Twinsburg, Ohio,
and will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as Chief of the Twinsburg Police Department
as Chief of the Twinsburg Police Department
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
as I shall answer to God.
as I shall answer to God.
Congratulations.
I want to start by thanking Mayor Yates and Law Director Maestros, as well as City Council, for this incredible opportunity. Thank you. I need to thank my predecessor, Chief Noga, for his service to the city, his years of excellent mentorship, and continuing to stress the development of the department. I started in Twinsburg in 1994, police department. It's the only police department I've ever worked for. Didn't know a whole lot about Twinsburg at the time, but I quickly grew to love the community. In 2000, my wife Tracy and I made it our home, and in 2005, we started our family with the birth of Jessica and Tyler, who are now juniors at Twinsburg High School. And I'm proud to say this is the only home they've ever known. So, as I continue to develop personally, I continue to develop professionally. And in the nearly 27 years that I've been here, the city and the department have been through highs and lows, a lot of highs and lows. one constant is we always band together and pull through it every time. You know, a lot has changed in law enforcement since 1994, a lot. One thing that has never changed is the community's unwavering support for their police department. So that unwavering support, along with the outpouring of support I've received from my family, my police family, friends, others in law enforcement, people I don't even know, has truly been incredible and humbling. So tonight, I just want you all to know, I look forward to leading this department and continuing to serve this community in the manner that you expect and deserve. That's it. Thank you. He said do not kiss him. Thank you for being here.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we will take a short recess, and we'll come back in approximately 5-10 minutes. We will resume our council meeting. Next, we have audience participation.
Yes, we have Bruce Baldwin. He might be outside talking.
He's out.
Who do we have?
Bruce Baldwin.
Oh,
Thanks, Chief.
We don't want to.
Somewhere away.
hold steady.
Yeah, a little better.
I didn't know he left the
Doug's
room.
leaving at like tomorrow morning.
I like Sam.
Travel.
So do I.
Thursday. Minneapolis.
Mr. Baldwin.
Welcome. I just stopped in for a free cupcakes. I figured as long as I'm here, I might as well aggravate you. So.
I love the honesty.
That's not true. First of all, I want to congratulate Chief Mason. What a job. I mean, I just, my heart goes out to him, you know what I mean? It doesn't look any easier when you got people like me and never will. Anyway, I had talked about this, fire hydrant 2181 West Aurora Road. It was leaking for about a year or so. It also did road damage. After I complained, no leak, the hydrant has not been dug up. Is that shut off? Is that no good?
Fire chief is here, and I see him writing it down right now, so I'm sure he'll go to get to the bottom of it.
All right.
Cleveland Water does the repairs on our.
Also, I'm not done yet, I know you wish I was. Also, down the street at 2305 Aurora Road, yellow tape around the hydrant has us 2 hydrants shut off. I guess it's a Band-Aid, I'm not sure what that is. And also Wilcox, I know I addressed yellow tape also. And last but not least, 9202 Route 91 fire hydrant, gone, completely gone. I stopped at Advanced Auto Parts, which is behind the missing hydrant. I asked the counter guy, well, I mentioned about the hydrant, and then as I was walking out to my car with a part, he laughed, and he said, yeah, that's been gone for 4 months. No hydrant at all. And I believe as I took my part out and walked up at the school driveway, it's right next door. It which worries me. Being a bus driver, I know you could have a problem with that. And inside that store is some of the worst stuff you can imagine. Starting fluid, propane, which is ether or propane, either one. Power steering fluid, rear end oil, car and truck batteries, engine oil, engine degreaser, WD-40 blaster, and what else? As I said, Wilcox Drive next door, what if you had to close that drive? There is no way that it's in and out, that's all it is. And school, please, don't take my word. Ask Solon, when that parts store went up at Solon at the corner of Route 9, at the corner of Solon Road and Bainbridge, you'd had to be there to believe how that thing went up. And to not have a hydrant in front of something as dangerous as that. And the guy laughed inside. He said, yeah, it's been gone 4 months. I said, well, that's not funny. He laughed. I said, yeah, it's not funny if something happens.
Right.
I said, this place goes up. I said, but, I didn't have to think at the time about the scooter until I walked out. And I thought, being a bus driver, that's not going to be a good thing if you got trapped back there, because there is no other way out. So, okay, good. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Oh, I
sir.
noticed, is a council meeting thing on the sign out there? I didn't,
Mr. Baldwin, I did check that for you.
Yeah,
It is
she
out
said-
there. It's on
she
this
said-
side of the sign, though.
what's on this side?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I can only drive one way.
Well, you'll see when you leave.
All right.
And that's all we have this evening.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Let me catch up here. Next, we'll move on to council committee, communication and committee reports. Let's start with Maureen Stauffer. Mrs. Stauffer.
Well, good evening. The Comprehensive Plan Committee met on August 26th. We actually did a tour of the community to check out some of the areas that we are talking about as far as the comprehensive plan updates. And it was really interesting, actually, to go around. I'd recommend if anybody in council could get a chance to do this. We went to Christ the Lutheran King, like the church on Ravenna Road. Take a look back there at some of the native trees and shrubs. We went to Center Valley Park, and if you go back along the path there, if you go into the woods, there's a lot of interesting there's interesting habitat. I'm laughing because Sarah and I got eaten alive by mosquitoes while we were back there, like literally all over. But so spray yourself. But really interesting back there, a lot to look at. Then we we went to the Laurel Creek Restoration Area, saw some of the great work that Amy Moore kind of got going years ago. Then we went into the square, took a look at the central area, and then we went up to Case, Pinnacle, Summit, Commerce Parkways, and talked about improving some of the pedestrian access to the RTA buses. I'm not sure when our next comprehensive plan meeting is going to be, but that one was a great meeting. I also attended the Jedi meeting last night. We talked about ways to get the word out, that we are working on things that we'll be working on. I think we're going to be working on some videos, trying to get the word to the community that we are working on, that we have this committee. My next meeting will be September 27 here at City Hall for the Jedi Committee. I have an Architectural Review Board meeting scheduled for this Thursday, September 16th at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Stauffer. Mr. Fury.
Thank you, good evening. I also attended the comprehensive plan tour on August 28th, but I did not go into the woods because I'm afraid of poison ivy, and I understand what mosquitoes do, so I left early. But it was eventful. And we also toured the old school area, which we're
Yes.
working as with
Yes.
CIC for the downtown development.
Yeah.
The Environmental Commission will meet on October 5th at 7 p.m. The Community Relations Board will meet on September 16th, this Thursday at 5 p.m. That's a reminder, Bill, the township, the schools, Kent State, and the city all get together to talk about things that we have in common and how we can work together on things for the future. I had an opportunity to attend the 9/11 memorial event at the city square this weekend. It was extremely well done. I thought that the high school kids that read the timeline was very powerful. Really well done event. Thanks to VFW, to the schools, to the city and the township to work together on that. If you'd like to see that timeline, Community One, which is our Channel 9, they came in and they are producing a show. So they had 2 cameras. I have to edit it a little bit, but that should be out shortly. And I just have a few things. Mark, can you put the PowerPoint on? Okay. So over a year ago, we had 1,100 residents surveyed to tell what was their important issues in the city. Finances was number 1. False information on Facebook was number 2. And communication, which was residents. So we tried to address the communication and educate the residents on finances. We just want to address some false financial information that was posted on Facebook. Mark, can you give me the next slide? So a resident on the round table, who's an administrator there, posted that we are cut services and that we used to do branch pickup twice a month and that nobody knows how to find it, you know, what's going on to it, and you know, just and followed it into that the citizens are paying $31,000 a month for the golf course, and because of that, somehow we're not doing branch pickup. So I'd like to rebut that. Can I have the next slide, please? So what you're looking at, because Chris Campbell has more numbers than the finance department. He breaks down everything. I have branch pickup has not fallen. You're looking at 3 years of statistical data on the costs, the duration, the debris, the number of days, and from 2018 through 2020, it was consistent. 49 days of branch pickup. And somebody said, well, when is branch pickup? Branch pickup is the first Monday of every month from April through October, and it's always been that way. It's the first Monday. So if there are people that have branches out in front of their yard for a month, you know, they must have put them out the second Monday of the month, and we'll get them on the first Monday of the following month. It starts on the first, yes, so go there. You know, Mark, can I have the next slide? So just year to date, if you look at the numbers, you know, and this is only through July, this doesn't count August. We already had almost 1,000 yards of debris collected. They made 4 complete rounds, because every month they do a complete round around the city. And we'll stop branch clipping at the end of October, because then we go to like 24-hour, it's not 24-hour, I apologize. We go to 12-hour leaf pickup that runs till they plow snow. And then we do leaf pickup again in the spring to get the things that were, you know, put out late that were covered by snow. So no service has been cut. The process was always once a month, the first Monday of the month. We have, the service department puts out road signs with, like last week we had Labor Day. Put signs all over, 14 signs throughout the major roads in the city saying, your garbage is Wednesday, not Tuesday. You know, hopefully people get that message. Mm-hmm. They do the same thing for branch pickup and leaf pickup. So, I mean, it's on the website. It has been, it's consistent, and we advertise it. So, again, there's been no loss in your services there. I'll have the next slide, please. There was another assertion that somehow the golf courses cost us from putting capital improvements out. So I didn't have time to research this quickly, but you know, this is a financial report that the mayor put together. I just asked him for the slide. You know, through 2013, 2018, we put almost $53 million in capital projects in the city: roads, fire trucks, police cars, service cars, things that last 5 years or more than $5,000. We average between $6 and $8 million a year, and have continued to do that over the last few years. In fact, this evening there was a capital improvements meeting to start the process, because those get attached into next year's budget. So, in addition to that, I think the $31,000 came from the debt service and divided it by 12. But what you're not taking into account is, yes, there's an entity that runs a restaurant there, but they pay us. You know, they pay us almost 6 figures. We also store our golf carts there, and we rent those, and we make almost $250,000 on golf cart rental a year. And we have a pro shop there, and we sell stuff, and we've sold $50,000 of equipment this year. And we also have a pro shop that take green speeds, and I think we're over $1 million. We're having a record year at our golf course. So this entity has become more financially feasible than it has since I've been on council. And again, the numbers were incorrect. Okay, the next slide, please. Last note, warrants at stock still petitioning for the names, addresses, and public information, including social security card numbers. It's still pending, and we hope to have this resolved shortly. And that's all I have on that. And thank you very much for your time tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Terry. Mr. Barr, you're next.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Since our last meeting, none of my committees have met. There is a planning commission meeting scheduled for September 20th, next week. It'll start at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. There are a couple of exciting items on the agenda, including a lot split consolidation and a site plan parking expansion, so be sure to mark your calendars, don't miss it. Other than that, that's all I have this evening, Mr. Scafidi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I'll go with, as was mentioned in Mr. Fury's report, we had a capital improvement meeting this evening, and this is the third one of this year's capital improvement board. Right now, they're in the informational stage. We've had various departments come in and present their capital requests to the board. We had police and fire department come in, as well as dispatch. We've had the fitness center and the golf course come in from their area, and then tonight we had our public works director here with regards to wastewater service and the citywide fleet requests, as well as Amy Moore, our city engineer, with regards to engineering and infrastructure. So again, they're in the process of gathering information and just looking at all the requests. And I believe next week they will gather all this information and go over it. And then the Capital Improvements Board will be voting on what they believe is a good recommendation or what they don't believe it is. And then that recommendation comes to the Finance Committee, who then after that it goes to, it's recommended to Council. So that's where we're at with capital improvements. Finance Committee, that will meet on the 28th of September at 6 o'clock. And that's it for my committees. I too attended the 9/11 memorial on Saturday, and as Mr. Fury said, it was a great tribute, and it was put together very well. And so it's a beautiful day, as it was that day on 9/11 as well too. So thanks for all that put that together. It went really, really well. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. Next we have Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, everyone. I did attend the Capital Improvement Board meeting this evening, and it was great. I filled in for Mrs. Stauffer on the ARB committee on September 2nd, and this is regarding the property on Ravenna Road, the laundromat. And so right now, we've received exterior renovations. They were approved, so now it's going to look more beautiful than it has been in the past. Also, I attended the September 11th event, Never Forget Memorial, this past Saturday, 20th anniversary. It was just heartbreaking. It was happy. It was sad. It was a memorial that we will never forget. And Mayor Yates did a great job as being the master of ceremonies, I would say, and the school, and special thanks to Kathy Powers and her students. It was really great and heartfelt. Also, I did attend our Jedi meeting, which was yesterday, and Mrs. Stauffer gave information regarding that. And last but not least, on September 26th from the Garden Club, they sent out invitations. Please plan to attend the Garden Club Gold Star Memorial dedication at Twinsburg Veterans Park, and they will be sending out more information to follow. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Next we have Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. Good evening. I also attended the memorial on September 11th. That day holds a very special place in my heart. My wife and I were living in Washington, D.C. that day, 20 years ago. I was sitting about 5 miles as the crow fly from the Pentagon. So to listen to the timeline of that, I just kind of stood there with my eyes closed and unfortunately relived it. But I think it was a really important and a really powerful message the way they did it. So I really appreciate everybody that was involved with that. I attended this evening's Capital Improvement Board meeting. Thank you, Mr. Scafidi, for your report. Also attended the full Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee meeting yesterday. The next meeting of the full Jedi Committee meeting will be on Monday, October 11th. The meeting of the Jedi Community Outreach Subcommittee, which was originally scheduled for September 20th, has been postponed pending discussion and decision at the next full committee meeting. The Board of Zoning Appeals is scheduled to meet next Wednesday, September 22nd, here in Council Chambers at 6:30 p.m. There will be a public hearing conducted at the beginning of that meeting for a case appeal number 06-2021 on the agenda. It's a 3-foot rear yard setback located at 2617 Bronson's Way. There will also be an additional public hearing conducted that evening for case number 07-2021. It is a solid fence made of vinyl, requested at 1671 Glenwood Drive. I have nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bellin. Mrs. Labby.
I had no meeting reports. There will be a golf advisory committee meeting next Tuesday on the 21st at 6:30, which I will attend. I did attend the Capital Improvement Board meeting today as well, and also the Jedi meeting last night, which I had the privilege of bringing a dear friend of mine, Dr. Uma Krishnan, who is a professor at Kent State and also on their Justice and Inclusion Committee. So she and I had some good conversation, and she has a lot of great ideas. And just to get her involved and get her thoughts on it, what she brings from the Indian community is to me very valuable. So I wanted to thank Dr. Krishnan for coming with me.
Great. Thank you. We'll move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A couple things going on. We're still working through our budget for 2022. We've had meetings with department heads. Thanks for reporting on the Capital Improvement Board. That's one step of the process. When we start looking at the revenue side, some things have been going on kind of behind the scenes, meeting with businesses, trying to get a feel of where they're at coming out of COVID. I've been through a number of Zoom meetings and a few on-site meetings with businesses. Some are doing really well. Staffing levels are growing. They're trying to find people. Others are coming out of COVID okay, but we're seeing a lot of work at home situations. So we're really trying to gauge how that's going to impact the revenue side of our budget as it relates to income tax. Some of these companies have 50% or more people working from home, and could be alarming for the city, but we're still staying in contact with them and trying to work through how that's going to ultimately affect us as a city. So other things going on, just early announcements, the police and the fire department. This is fire department's typical open house. Police will play a part in that this year. I know in the past they were part of it, and then we went to National Night Out. We're really trying to find a time, and it may be in May, where the police have their own community event that's far away from Twins Day. So that's always been kind of the issue when we go to when we look at National Night Out. But that's coming up on October 6th at the fire department. October 30th, we're going to do it's called Twinsburg Schwall Family Festival. It's going to start at 1, end at 4. So we're kind of combining a couple events, partnering with the chamber, and we're going to have kind of a Oktoberfest with a meal, as well as there's going to be a kid zone, there's going to be a game zone for older kids, and then we're going to do our truck or treat. So it's going to be a nice fall event that's going to come up on October 30th. So mark your calendars for that. One thing I did attend was John Curry passed away earlier this year, and they did a tree dedication up in the Heights near their ball field, and I was able to attend that. They kind of called John the mayor of Twinsburg Heights. He was just a well-respected guy. He had just a lot of influence on a lot that happened in that community as well as in Twinsburg, and I'm thankful I was invited to that. It was a small ceremony, but it was well attended, and I know the tree they planted, they're hoping will help the community always remember John. So I want to congratulate again Chief Mason. I know this has been a long process for him to move into this role, and like I said in my words that I shared, he's really been a significant part of our administration over the last couple of years, being the only lieutenant. Our assistant chief retired, and we had another lieutenant retire, and so he's really taken on a ton of responsibility in the department. So I know he's going to do really well, and he's in a position now where, because of all the changes in the department, he's really going to be able to kind of lay out his administrative staff there, and so it's going to be a really exciting time for the department over the next 6 months as a lot of those leadership roles start coming into play. And then lastly, thanks for the comments on the 9/11 program. It was the school district, the city, the township, Village of Reminderville, the library, VFW, kind of all got together and wanted to do something for the 20th anniversary. And I couldn't have been more pleased with how the program went, the response we got from the people, and the turnout. I just want to thank the community for coming out to that event. We never know, how many people are going to get to show up, but it was well attended. And again, I think having the high schoolers who weren't even born when that happened, connecting them to that event was just so powerful. So I just want to thank all that was involved and that helped put that together. And that is all I have this evening. We have a department head report. Chris?
Good evening, Council. I just want to let you know that the service department and actually wastewater as well is winding down on summer programs. Seasonal, all the kids are back to school, and I got to tell you, we had a fantastic year with his young men and women. We had a couple gardening crews that were running around the city, pulling weeds and getting the flower beds all cleaned up, the grass cutting crews. So the kids did a fantastic job. So we're hoping some of those kids are able to come back next year, but they sure make a difference for us. So we appreciate their hard work and look forward to hopefully at least some of them coming back next year. Some of the other things, and one of the numbers I wanted to give you that stuck out for me, storm area checks. We go up every month and check all the choke points where the storm areas come together. And when they did it in July, they got 25 pounds of debris out of those. So when you consider all the sites they go to, they're reporting 7 checks this year for, they took out 325 pounds of debris. And it's just amazing how far we've come since we put that little program together, and how it helps us when, these rainstorms come. And it seems like lately it's a lot of rain when we get it. And they've really cleaned that system up, and it helps us on our response time if there are big events. So I thought that was it's a really neat number. It's a very low number when you consider what they're doing out there. As Mr. Fury reported, branch chipping goes on, and just as a reminder, October 4th is the first Monday in October, so they'll be out there doing that program. And then after that, October 11th, approximately, we will start a leaf program. We're going to go out this year a little bit earlier than we normally do, maybe a little bit bigger presence. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, you don't have a lot of leaves falling, so we send out one truck. We're going to hit a little bit harder this year. We're going to send 2 trucks out to start. We've had some overtime dollars appropriated, and we're going to see what kind of difference we can make this year as far as getting the leaves picked up a little bit quicker. We don't want to beat up the crews. You get the overtime dollars, which is good, but then that puts the guys, working that much longer. So we're going to try to balance that. We're going to get out early, and we're going to stay at it and try to stay ahead of it, which gets, difficult towards the beginning or the middle of the season, but we'll see what we can do. During the year, the crack sealing program ended up with 62,000 linear feet of roadway that we crack sealed. Street sweeping went on, probably try to get one more round in. And then, as I talked about early in the year, we went back to plug hugging and painting fire hydrants. They were able to get 209 done, which was a little bit tough. We had a hard time getting paint. So, and again, we're going from the green to the red. We're targeting a lot of the newer hydrants. So, once you get that program running, it really goes pretty quick. So we will be back out there next year doing the plug hugging. And I just wanted to make note, we had, in our sign shop, we had the heating and air conditioning unit go out. And we got a price to replace that of $8,000. And our electrician, Gary Foote, came to me and said, hey, when we tore down one of the houses, I think on East Hardwood, they took a furnace air conditioner unit out of one of the homes. He said, that thing's sitting in there. He says, why don't we give it a shot putting that thing in ourselves? And grabbed two of the guys, Brian Stracy and Ted Burton from the wastewater department. They have experience with HVAC stuff. And with Gary, a couple other guys, they put the unit in there, and it cost us for materials, but the $8,000 became a couple $1,000, whatever it was. But it's the efforts of these employees, and they approached us and said, hey, I think we can do this. So really proud of those guys and appreciate all their hard work. And that's the kind of employees we have, and they're great people. So I just wanted to mention that to you. And that's my report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chief?
Good evening. For the month of August, the fire department had 300 calls for service. And just to give you an idea of where we are, so far in the history of the fire department, we've had 4 months where we've been over 300 calls. 2 of them have been July and August of this year. So don't know where it's going, if it's just a blip or a trend, but our yearly average was 250 or 248 a month last year, and we're at 270 a month this year. Again, it's just for what it's worth. We on the fire prevention side of things, we completed 51 inspections, and we also had 4 fire investigations that we participated in or conducted. We also had 110 training sessions that totaled almost 450 hours of training time for our people. And under points of interest, the weather warning sirens worked on the 4th when they were tested. There was the indicator light on the one at Cannon Road that's still not working. So, but the siren itself is. On our fleet, in general, the fleet's in pretty good shape. We're still working on some little punch list items, but Med 2 is still out of service, and that's the unit that we sent for an engine replacement. We got it back for a couple months, and it's just not working out. They actually went to pick it up today and bring it back, and by the time they got it back into town, it was belching black smoke. So we intend to pursue a new med unit for next year, and we are likely going to be replacing our second youngest med unit, Med 2, instead of our oldest med unit, just to get that truck out of the fleet, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. On our COVID operations, we're still paying attention to what's going on. We still have good PPE supply. We've still been relatively unscathed by COVID. We've had 5 people test positive through the whole period of the pandemic, and we've only had 9 employees that spent some time away from the department just as a precaution. The fire hydrant flushing is done for the year. We did complete that project late last month. The list of deficiencies has been sent to Cleveland Water and to Mr. Baldwin's comments. Cleveland Water is who replaces the hydrants. It's on their list of things to do. We remind them periodically, but the situation is that we're fortunate enough in Twinsburg that we do have a fire hydrant every 300 feet on every street. So having one missing here or there, although not ideal, is not a terrible thing. Certainly there are those that we think are a little more strategically placed than others, but you know, we keep we try to stay in contact with Cleveland Water as best we can, and they've got a big system, and so where we fall on that priority list, we have really no way to tell until we get a notice from them that they fixed one. So we'll continue to press that as best we can. And as the mayor mentioned, we are having our open house on October 6th, so I'd like to see you all there if at all possible. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you, Chief.
I have one question. So you had mentioned an increase year over year, roughly 30 calls per month.
Yes,
not all calls are created equal.
that's correct.
Correct. Do you have any I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you have any thoughts in terms of, is it COVID related? Is it the fact that our community is aging? Is there any consistency that you can point to?
It's, I think the biggest factor right now that's impacting us, and it's really impacting the whole medical system, is the lack of staffing.
Okay.
At the nursing homes, at the urgent care centers, at the emergency rooms, in the hospitals.
So they can't get help where they typically would go, and so they're calling us.
That's certainly part of it. And certainly the aging, of the population is impacting that as well. And that's, for what it's worth, the hospitals in our area are not full. Their staffed beds are full. So, that's an important differentiation, because they're having a hard time finding staffing. And through the course of the pandemic, when they shut down elective surgeries and stuff like that, hospitals started seeing a reduction in revenue, so they laid off people. And as the pandemic continued, there are contracts going out all over the country where nurses and doctors can make big dollars going out of state to Chicago or Texas or wherever and serving in those places. And it just really screwed up the whole medical care system. And I don't know how soon that's gonna normalize, but that's really what's impacting a lot of the medical care system, and it comes right back to us. We're fortunate here that we don't have some of the issues that, for example, Akron hospitals right now. It's not uncommon for an ambulance to go into one of the Akron hospitals and have to wait for hours before they can transfer their patient to a bed, because they don't have a bed in the emergency room available, because there's nowhere to move them to the floors because there's no beds available there. So we're fortunate we're not dealing with that here, but I don't know if the Akron area fire departments find that out, they might start running this way, I'm not sure, but it's just an interesting set of things.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, Sarah?
Good evening, Council. We're working on closing up the August books. As you know, our financial reports are a little bit behind as we're short-staffed. So we're still trying to get those out, maybe like a week to 10 days later than we usually do, but hopefully next week we'll have those out to you. COVID relief, that American Rescue Plan money that we got in, it's $987,000, and you have in front of you tonight the legislation to set up the new fund, and we also have legislation to set up the budget for that new fund. The only thing on the budget appropriation amendment, is just the revenue side of things, because we haven't made decisions yet on how we want to spend that money, so it's just getting the revenue on the books at this point. In September and October, Finance Committee meetings will start really making some decisions on what we want to do, at least with the first half of the money. So Finance Committee, I think Mr. Scafidi mentioned, is on September 28th this month, and the Capital Improvement Board will recommend the items that they would like Finance Committee to consider along with the ARPA funding discussion. Electronic sewer billing is available now, so if you want to sign up to get your sewer bill emailed to you, and you can also pay online, it's at mytwinsburg.com/billing, I believe is the email or the site. And you can keep getting your paper bills if you want to, but it's a nice option for everybody. The 2020 audits have been released by the state of Ohio and are now available both on our website and on the state of Ohio auditor's website, and that's for the city and for the CIC. The 2022 budget preparation, the mayor spoke on that a little bit. We are continuing to work on that. We do have some revenue items that are a little bit unknown to us for 2022 at this point, but we're gonna keep our eye on things and do the best we can to get you an accurate temporary budget this year, and we'll do a permanent budget first quarter next year. Over on the IT side of things, you have an appropriation amendment for you tonight to do some streaming and training room updates to council chambers. So those guys will start working on that once we have the money in place. They are doing a facility security systems update that should save us some money. Zach presented on that, I believe, last council meeting. And then they're also looking at multi-factor authentication that we talked about last time as well. So they're still looking into that with some pricing. That's all we've got for tonight.
Thank you, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next we'll move on to legislation. We've got Resolution 64, 2021.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit for a religious institution for parcel number 64-07758 located at 9945 Thale Drive, Twinsburg, Ohio, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 64, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion? We discussed all these in the caucus this evening, but anybody have any further discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 64, 2021 passes 7-0. Ordinance 65, 2021.
An ordinance amending Chapter 111 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg regarding council.
Okay, that's its first reading. Next, we have Resolution 67, 2021.
66.
I'm
A resolution
sorry, did I miss
authori-
one?
Yeah, 66.
66.
A resolution authorizing
Oh, I'm
the mayor.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the assistance to firefighter grant from Fema to provide equipment for the fire department and approving a local funds share match.
Okay, at this time, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 66, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 66, 2021 passes 7-0. Resolution 67, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the fire prevention and safety grant from FEMA to provide residential Knox boxes for the fire department and approving local funds share match.
Okay, make a motion to adopt Resolution 67, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Labby. Okay, any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 67, 2021 passes 7-0. Ordinance 68, 2021.
An ordinance amending Ordinance 107, 2019, approving the construction agreement for a water line extension located at 9802 Chamberlain Road and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 68, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Discussion. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, next I make a motion to adopt ordinance 68, 2021 as an emergency. May I have a second?
No second.
Okay, any discussion? Call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, 68, 2021 passes 7-0 as an emergency. 69, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement pursuant to section 5521.01 of the Ohio Revised Code with Ohio Department of Transportation to allow work on state highways within the city of Twinsburg Corporation limits.
At this time, I make a motion to adopt resolution 69, 2021. Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Barr seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 69, 2021 passes 7-0. Resolution 70, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the city engineer to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required for the Ravenna Road Sanitary Sewer.
Okay, make a motion to adopt resolution 70, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, Shannon.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 70, 2021 passes 7-0. I got resolution 71, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the city engineer to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required for the Ethan's Green Sewer Outfall Lining Project.
Okay, I want to make a motion to adopt resolution 71, 2021. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, resolution, which one is that? 71, 2021 passes 7-0. Resolution 72, 2021.
A resolution accepting the amount and rate as determined by the Summit County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them with the county fiscal officer.
Okay, make a motion to adopt resolution 72, 2021. May I have a second?
I second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 72, 2021 passes 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 73, 2021.
An ordinance establishing a special revenue fund titled ARPA Local Fiscal Recovery Fund and declaring an emergency.
Okay, when's emergency?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules on ordinance 73, 2021, put it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second. Yield.
Who's second? You.
Yes.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, now I make a motion to adopt ordinance 73, 2021 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 73, 2021 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 74, 2021.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 14, 2021, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I would like to, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 74, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Belland?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 74, 2021 as an emergency. Can I have a second?
Second?
Mr. Barr seconds. Discussion. Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs.
Sorry, I thought she said stop or you
I
said
thought she
Walker.
said Walker.
Just for clarification, Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance 74, 2021 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Last we have ordinance 75, 2021.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in ordinance 14, 2021, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 75, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to make a motion to adopt ordinance 75, 2021 as an emergency. Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, that was ordinance 75, 2021. That passes 7-0 as an emergency. Next, we'll move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. First, we talked about this earlier in the caucus. I'd like to make a motion that City Council does not oppose the new liquor permit for Cracker Barrel Old Country Store, Incorporated, doing business as Cracker Barrel Store at 383 East Aurora Road, and authorize the clerk to submit the form to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. May I have a second?
Second.
Second. Oh, Mrs. Labby. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 7-0. Next, we'll move on to unfinished new business and miscellaneous of the rest of council. Mr. Barr, we'll start with you.
Nothing for me this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Bellin.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Stoffer.
I just wanted to congratulate Chief Mason once again and his family. It's a very exciting time. Also, I wanted to ask about the street lights. Shannon, I know that we go to, if you have a streetlight issue and you know the address, you go on the website on your own. But what if it's a common area? Like I think there's a light out at the roundabout. I tried to go to the website to see where I put that information in. Should residents contact the city if they happen to see that, Ohio Edison and South? But when I tried to go in there, it's not as easy to get there. So
You can always call the number if you don't have an
Call
actual
the number,
address.
okay.
When you log on, they ask for your account information, so it's easy for them to locate that streetlight that's out. If it's on a main road or something,
Okay.
it's easiest to call that in and explain the area between where they're looking, and they should be able to locate it.
And do the police still do that as they're doing their rounds if they happen to see lights out? Do we know if they used to be years ago that they would call someone in? I don't know who.
I don't.
No one's doing that now. So if the lights are out, it's up to the residents, no matter where that is, to contact first
Well,
aid.
no, I think if service sees one
Or service, okay.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
mean,
out
they're-
there.
A resident can still contact us if it's on a main street, and we're happy to call on their behalf.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for follow-up purposes, a lot of times it's easier if it's on a residential street in front of their house that they
Yeah.
contact them
Then
directly.
they
That's
The main
usually how
streets,
we
they can call
contact.
us and we can coordinate that too.
Try to get a poll number off of that light, because that's what Ohio Edison's going to ask for.
Yeah, yeah,
So if your resident calls you and you're going to call it in or try to put it in there,
right,
try to get a poll number.
okay. Yeah, I know years ago they used to call service department if they were out, and then we had a person, our contact person at First Energy, but I just didn't know, like I said, about the main routes, if, if you're.
We're happy to look at the main routes. That's not a problem. So if
Okay.
they call it in to us, even we can go out and look for a poll number.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fury.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, everyone, again. I received information from the Emergency Assistance Center in Northfield. Now that people are off unemployment and whatever else that they received, they sent out a notice that people can come to them to get food. There's qualifications, there's annual income that they go by. Also, for those senior citizens that qualify, they will deliver non-perishable foods and personal care items once a month, or you could go there, they'll pre-package your food, put it in your car, and then drive away. If you have any questions or want to be enrolled, please call the Emergency Assistance Center at 330-467-7945. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mary Yates.
Nothing else for me this evening.
Okay, Mr. Maestros.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, our,
Oh, you
Karen.
I forgot, I'm sorry. I'm not even on my list.
That's
I'm sorry
okay.
about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not on your list.
I don't know why.
I didn't make the list.
You're on my list, Karen.
You're on my good list.
You're on a good list.
Mrs. Levy.
I wanted to echo Mrs. Stoffer's remarks about Chief Mason. I find his passion heartwarming in light of the events of the community, or just police and with the way they're viewed, and it's just so heartwarming to me that he's so passionate. So, and I wanted to give Chris a shout out, Chris Campbell and the Service Department. They erected a sign, speed limit sign, on Twin Hills Parkway promptly after a resident called, and also cut back some brush because a resident couldn't see when they were making a right-hand turn onto 91. So a shout out to Chris and the Service Department. That's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Levy, and my apologies
No
for
worries.
passing you by. Now, Mary Yates, you're done. Mr. Maestros, you're done. Last but not least, Shannon Collins, our clerk of council. Do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
I'm sorry?
I do not.
You have nothing. Okay. Sarah, any final comments?
Nothing from me
Okay.
tonight.
Hearing none, we have no absent members, so at this time, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.